On Wednesday, we spoke with the organization Democrats of the Desert to get their perspective on this election. And tonight, we're hearing from Valley Republicans. I spoke with local Republican media personality Rich Gilgallen. Rich, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Peter. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning. Thanks for having me.
Your reaction to the results we've seen so far, both locally and nationally, and are you surprised?
Yes, is the fair answer to both questions. Not overly surprised locally. It's very, very difficult to beat a four-term incumbent in Congress. I'm very disappointed in that. I'm disappointed that Raul Ruiz was reelected, and I was disappointed locally in several races, frankly. But nationally, this is extremely disappointing for a conservative Republican. But you just have to wonder. Now, Peter, you're a newsman, okay? You got a nose for news. So I'm asking you this question: 700,000 vote margin in Pennsylvania. Now, you can make up a 7,000 vote margin fairly easily, and you'd have a very difficult time, I think, of making up a 70,000 vote margin at 3 in the morning. But a 700,000 vote margin cannot be made up fairly or legally. What happened at 3 o'clock in the morning when several governors, all Democrats, called a halt to the count? Stop the count. That was what went out. They stopped it in Wisconsin, in Michigan, in Pennsylvania, in North Carolina. All the counting stopped. And then, of course, miraculously, these votes started pouring in later when they found out, in my view, how many votes they needed. This is corruption on a heartbreaking scale in our country, in my view.
Let me ask you, Rich, I asked this question to Democrats of the Desert recently, and I want to get the Republican perspective. What are some of the key takeaways from this election, you think?
Well, it's not all bad news. The polling was so off again for the second cycle in a row. They said Trump was going to lose Pennsylvania by 12 points. He was going to lose Wisconsin by so many points. Going to lose Michigan. These are polls that are put out to try to limit the number of people that go vote, to make it seem like it's hopeless. They were all wrong again. And so you have to ask, what is the connection between these pollsters and some of their friends in the media, that they keep hyping the same failed pollsters every single year? So that's one thing. The other thing is it's obvious for anybody with any brain at all to smell a rat, at least, in this this stopping of the count, and then all of a sudden, miraculously overnight, these thousands and millions of ballots come in for Joe Biden. Look, this is impossible.
Nationally, there was not a blue wave that many Democrats had expected or had hoped for. What do you make of that?
Well, we picked the conservative party, Republican Party, picked up a lot of support from the Hispanic community. I think that bodes well for the party as it moves forward. There were several Republican conservative women that were elected to Congress. And by the way, just by way of some information, there are almost 20 House seats right now that are too close to call. Now, you don't see that on any network tote board, but they're still counting a lot of votes in the House. So we may see some more changes there. The Senate, they predicted, would go Democrat in a landslide. Of course, that didn't happen. And again, when you say the blue wave, that was what was coming from the pollsters, who are apparently bought and paid for by the Democrat Party. It's really a shame, I think. I think what will happen is we'll dust off a little, and we'll stand up and fight another day. We know we've been robbed, on the national level. No question about it. You can't make up 700,000 votes in a state the size of Pennsylvania overnight. That's impossible unless you cheat. And really, the bottom line comes in to a voter ID. You can't buy a pack of Lucky Strikes if you're 75 years old, unless you have unless you have an ID at Walmart. But you can go vote without an ID. It doesn't make any sense. They say it's to suppress the vote. It doesn't suppress the vote. Everybody has an ID. But the only way we're going to fix this horrific election situation we have in this country is by demanding people go to a poll, show a valid ID, and get themselves a ballot on election day.
All right, Rich, we appreciate your time. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Good luck to you.